Let me take you back 1 second. What were the issues in the primary?
Income tax, sort of. Although I had made a statement about the income tax that I didn't think we needed for the foreseeable future. And we didn't. To balance the budget, we did not need an income tax. But never ever pursued that particularly, so that my statement that I don't think we need one for the foreseeable future became a highlighted statement in the campaign and came back to haunt me when I became governor.
You say that you ruled out the need for an income tax for the foreseeable future, and that phrase came back to haunt you. What did you mean at the time by foreseeable future, and did you know what you were saying, or did it just pop out?
In the course of the campaign, we had discussed an income tax. When I was running in the primary, Cahill had been in favor of an income tax and had a bill. And I criticized his bill. And the position I took in the primary, when carefully asked, was that I would not go for the Cahill income tax because it didn't do certain things, and that I had 4 things, I think, that I thought an income tax would have to satisfy in order for me to support it. But by and large, all that was lost. Now, when Sandman wins the primary, the income tax becomes more of an issue. If Cahill had won, we would have both been for an income tax in some form. Cahill loses, the income tax becomes Sandman's issue, and I was probably more cautious than I had to be. But I also think the press overplayed my foreseeable future statement. We needed some way to solve the school funding issue, and that was never really intelligently discussed in that '73 campaign. How are you going to fund schools? And neither of us really discussed that the way it should have been discussed. So now I'm governor in '74, and I got to face the issue. And we did decide at that point that probably the way to do it would be through an income tax. Although there were other alternatives that were doable. John Russo had written an interesting paper for one of his campaigns. He was a senator from Ocean County, on a statewide property tax and using that as a surtax to fund the school. So we really finally decided afterwards that the income tax was the way to go. And then after I proposed the income tax, I kept getting hit with these cockamamie schemes of penny here, penny there, there. That would not have been a long-range solution to anything. And remember in 1977, Ray Bateman came out with a form of that kind of a solution, and it lost him the election.
We'll get to that, I'm sure, at some point. With Sandman as your opponent in the general election, wouldn't it have been better to be upfront and run on the income tax notion rather than waffling?
That's what everybody tells me in retrospect. It might have been. Except income tax in New Jersey has been a hysterical issue over the years. In the old days, when the Newark News was the dominant newspaper in New Jersey, the Newark News would write editorials about the income tax and how bad it was, and anybody who proposed it, and Hughes proposed it, you remember, got killed. So it was an issue to stay away from.
Did Hughes get killed?
Sure. Hughes lost the 1967 legislature on that issue, plus the workers' right to strike and get strike benefits. Those were the 2 issues that killed him. He lost the legislature.